Okay, so we've talked a lot about the House settlement and what it does, but is it actually good for Alabama?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson, that's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. We'll talk about Gametime here in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks everybody for making us your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Jimmy, we've talked about the House settlement and what it means and that it's not from the House of Representatives, like a lot of people have said, that it's named for the guy who brought the lawsuit, Johnny House or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about all that. Mm-hmm. I guess we need to get to is it good for Alabama? I'm leaning, yeah, pretty good.
Most everything is good for Alabama because Alabama is just well positioned to compete in collegiate sports, just simply because of the passion of the fans, the size of the athletic department, all the success in multiple sports. So really, I kind of look at it like, let's look at it like three different eras. The one era is the prior to NIL era, basically from the beginning of time all the way to 2021. How did Alabama do? Well, pretty good. Bryant, Saban, 12 national titles between them.
The beginning of time, we didn't have a great Jurassic period.
Well, we kept signing dinosaurs. They're so slow. We needed to sign those raptors.
Yeah, we needed
like Toronto.
Brontosauruses.
Yeah. Toronto hoarded all the raptors, and everybody, nobody had any speed. So, we've done really well pre-NIL. Obviously, built the greatest tradition in college football. So you'd say Alabama's a big winner pre-NIL. Then NIL changed the college football world, changed college sports world. How did Alabama do during the NIL era that I will say is 2021 to 2025? Frankly, outstanding. And I know some people will say, well, where's the national titles? And there wasn't as much success. Well, couple things. Number one, it was the very end of Saban, and we went under the DeBoer transition. But there was still an appearance in the national championship game in 2021. The 2023 team made it all the way to the Final Four. Still a very good team in 2022 and 2024. But most importantly, why I say Alabama was a winner in the NIL world is simply recruiting. If you just look at recruiting rankings from 2021 through 2025, the NIL era, and came up with a point system of, okay, who's number one, who's number two, there is no question that the number one recruiting program in the NIL era was Alabama. Number one. Now, did that actually play its way out on the field? I don't know. We could talk about that forever in terms of transfer portal and losses and stuff. But look, Alabama was a winner in the NIL world. Alabama basketball is in the golden age of Alabama basketball in the NIL era. So that alone, I would say Alabama was a winner in the NIL era. Now we're starting a third era. The NIL era was short. Now we're in the, I guess for now, we'll call it the House settlement era. How's Alabama going to do? Well, good. Some of the reasons that Alabama lost out on some guys in the NIL era will no longer be as significant. I do think we have to get used to the fact that Alabama will get outbid for some athletes at some points. That's still going to happen a couple of different ways. Number one is allocation of resources. We spent the last show talking about how Alabama's going to split up all the money. Other schools are splitting their money differently. And other programs will spend more on a quarterback or more on a tackle or less on a say. There will be differences in money from program to program. There will still be NIL differences in money. Some schools will thrive in the legit NIL era. I think Alabama's among them, but will Alabama be number one? Will Alabama be the best collective in this new era? That's asking a lot. I think it's going to be closer to number one than last. I can tell you that for sure. And I know soon we're going to have Aaron Suttles and maybe even Jay McPhillips on the show soon to talk about this, because they'll be able to talk about it so much more intelligently than we do being on the ground floor, Alabama. But I think Alabama's going to be fine. I think the idea, I think we told a story not too long ago that's, don't take it literal, but sort of, that Alabama might have seen a high school prospect they liked and really wanted to, like, hey, we want this guy. Let's put together a real big offer. And for Alabama, it's like, let's pay this dude $300,000. And then they didn't get him because he got $1.8 million somewhere else. Okay. Now that era is probably over. I don't think you're going to see Alabama's bid 1/6 of what someone else's is. I think that's an outlier of the NIL era. And I think in this new house that we won't have as much of that or see things to that extreme. So I think Alabama is going to be well situated to do well. Those that think, okay, those NIL guardrails are in place, now we're going to be back to the Saban thing of stacking number one class. That's just unrealistic. That's very unrealistic. I don't think it has anything to do with anything other than just regression to the mean and just simple logic. But I do think that Alabama is going to continue to recruit at a very high level. We're in the just beginning stages of it, and you see it already. I mean, right now, Alabama's class is in the top 10 and moving up as we wait on announcements from the C.D. Morgans and the E.J. Crowells and the Jira Edwards. I mean, all that stuff's coming up, and I think Alabama's going to sign. I'm very confident today, Luke, in saying Alabama's going to sign a top 5 class this year.
I'll take it a step further and say top 3 class.
Yeah.
I really will say that.
It was number 3 last year, so it's not crazy to say top 3. It's not even crazy to say number 1. I think that's possible. I just think still there's some NIL stuff. We'll probably go even deeper into that, but realize as much as we're now creeping into the House era, NIL deals that were signed prior to the House settlement, and there was a rush to get a bunch of them signed, can still be for crazy amounts of money. So this fall, you're still going to have some kids at some schools, not Alabama, some kids at other schools that pay crazy NIL money. You're still going to have some kids out there, some whopping deals. We'll see if that holds up in the future, but we still have a little more time of that because those deals were grandfathered in under these new rules.
Yeah, I think the other thing, I think you'll see fewer getting the rug pulled from under you at the last second, because you won't have the ability to do stuff under the table. You will be governed, again, in theory, a little more effectively. And if you get caught, again, in theory, it's going to be worse than it was before, because it sounds like, and again, it hadn't come to this yet, but it sounds like they're going to have some rules where, okay, we're just going to have to follow. Everybody's just going to have to be in lockstep, and no more of this, we'll just go into complete silent mode. And look, again, this all ties back into Alabama. I feel like Alabama was probably the last school to just fully cooperate and say, okay, yeah, we had some dudes that were doing some bad things. Y'all come in with your rectal examination and find everything. And what we're hoping for is mercy. And they said, we will show you mercy. And then we find out it wasn't mercy. It was like that sadist, oh God, what was his name, on Game of Thrones, who chopped off the manhood of the other guy in Game of Thrones. But because the guy was like, show me mercy. He's like, I'm showing you mercy. I'm not going to kill you. Wow. I'm just going to take
so glad I blocked that scene out of my memory. I must have had some PTSD and just.
And there's some Game of Thrones.
I saw Game of Thrones, but I've somehow forgotten that. Thank goodness.
There's some Game of Thrones fans who are just like, they're killing me now but I mean, I wasn't like super Game of Thrones. I wasn't Dungeons and Dragons Game of Thrones in this thing.
I wasn't, but I loved it.
I loved the show, but I wasn't like, I kind of get, when they said we've got to, in all of Westeros, and then we got to go to here, I'm like, I don't really know where those places are. Y'all just get on a ship and then.
I watched it much later than everyone else, so I hate that word binge. It's so overused and it's kind of silly, but Game of Thrones. I watched it later than everybody else, so I binged the whole series. I watched the whole series in like 2 months.
Yeah, but the final
fantastic
5 episodes
I wasn't crazy about how it ended. Yeah, no, I wasn't crazy about how it ended. It felt I I didn't like how it ended, and apparently not alone in that. But it was a great show. For those who haven't seen it, I mean, I think it's kind of crazy calling it a TV show. It's so big. I think it's the best TV show of all time.
Oh, I mean, no, come on.
I do.
First of all,
I do.
I mean, yeah, I'd put it in the top 10. But
it's just so big. It's weird calling it a TV show. Like, you know, my favorite TV show, Game of Thrones. It's barely ahead of Barney Miller.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones and then Barney Miller. You know what I'm saying? How do you compare? I mean, Game of Thrones is huge. It's like Star Wars.
I laughed more at Barney Miller.
I did laugh more at Barney
Miller.
But
Barney Miller had fewer dragons, so I don't know.
I saw that Dietrich guy do a stand-up act one time. He's passed now. It was terrible. The worst stand-up act I've ever seen.
I think Breaking Bad and Sopranos were both better. I mean, that's me. But all right, I want to say this, that the CBS came out with their own winners and losers. I just saw this as I was flipping through some other things. I've forgotten about this. Maybe it crept into my subconscious. But it said specifically winners were the Big Ten and SEC, the two richest conferences that will get more money from college football playoff and their TV rights deals and more money than their fellow Power Four brethren in ACC and the Big 12 are set up well in this new revenue sharing world. And that's not exactly a new development, but it's just like they continue to win. And I think that's right. And of course, the losers being the non-revenue sports and the group of five. So if you want to say Alabama on the whole, yeah, I think they're a winner because the biggest, baddest sport is a winner. And Alabama is one of the biggest, baddest boys on the block. So I think Alabama's a winner. But if you love Alabama women's basketball or Alabama rowing or something like that, I don't know if you're a winner yet or not. We're going to have to see.
I think so.
I think so, but I'm a lot less sure than I am for football.
Well, football's first. Yeah, it's fair because, heck, some sports could get chopped. I don't think that's going to happen in Alabama. I think Greg Byrne is committed to keeping the sports. Now, adding sports is out. Adding brand new, sparkling billion-dollar facilities is out.
But I don't. Alabama pickleball. I'm telling you, that ain't happening, y'all.
Well, that's something me and you could do.
I know. I don't know yet. I haven't tried it yet. I want to.
I mean, I want to see the revenue share deal they offer me first, but that's something we could do.
They're like, we'll pay you to never come back to our gym again.
We will pay you in pickles. Here's three pickles.
Three
pickles.
Three of those little small pickles.
Small pickles. Yeah. Don't think you're getting any dills. You're kind of old.
Yeah. They said, yeah, you can sign a deal. Oh, really? No, a deal. You can sign a deal. Oh gosh, I hit the wrong button.
Of course. That's why
I'm not getting any deals.
Why we're paid in pickles here.
I just restarted the show, which probably is a bad idea.
Yeah, people are thankful. Tell them about Game Time, though.
I am going to tell them about Game Time because it's the best. Y'all know I love Game Time. Look, I just pulled up the live read I'm supposed to read, right? But I don't even want to use it. I'm going to because they may have some new stuff in there. But I want to tell y'all that I use Game Time a lot and I love it. And it's been awesome for me. And I know some of y'all out there have used Game Time. Y'all have tweeted at me that you've used Game Time because of this show. And I appreciate you. And Game Time appreciates you. They have the best prices guaranteed. The prices on the app drop closer to tip-off. That's what I love. I've always thought that a lot of sites miss the point on that because, we're trying to wait this thing out. So you get killer last-minute deals. You get panoramic seat views and no surprise fees. Game Time is a game changer. They maybe should have called themselves game changers. Look, I was just on the app looking for some other stuff, and I'm telling you that the zone deals, like the lower end stuff, they're like 60% off in great sections versus all these other places. So, I mean, I just love it. I love that you can see my exact view before I buy it. There's no surprises. I'll know if there's a giant column in front of me or something, which I had happen at Wrigley Field way before I was ever using Game Time, just before Game Time existed. And with the Game Time guarantee, you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row and section, they'll credit 100% of the difference. It's pretty awesome. I mean, it's like, here's some money, and you still got to go to the game. So look, download the Game Time app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On College. That's all one word for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, and that's guaranteed. All right, number 50 on your countdown. Now we're getting somewhere.
We really are, because, boy, do the math. Like, we're talking about the best players on the team, right? And there's 22 positions, basically, really 23, 24 when you get into the specialty spots. So really, when you're talking about getting down to player 48, 49, you're talking about guys in the two deep. And guys in the two deep, you know what they do? Under DeBoer, guys in the two deep play every Saturday. These are guys we're going to see every single Saturday, and we're going to depend on in terms of whether we're going to win or lose the games. Those are the guys on the field with the ones, right? So here's a guy that we haven't seen much of yet, but we're going to see a lot of him this fall, and that's Jeremiah Beaman. We have him at 50. He is going to be a reserve defensive tackle, meaning, he's not going to start. I think the primary interior guys are going to be Tim Keenan and James Smith. I mean, there's your headliners, your frontliners. They're going to play the most snaps. Let me tell you, in that next group is Edric Hill, it's Jeremiah Beaman, and it's Steve Mbumwa. I mean, those are the guys that are right behind him, and I have Jeremiah Beaman basically as the fourth interior tackle. So there's no question he's going to play with snaps with the ones, and we'll see. How he's done. When we signed Jeremiah Beaman, he was 260. It's now listed at 312. And if you're like, oh no, that doesn't sound good. In his case, it's good. He has added some really good weight. He's got long arms. I think he could be the rare interior pass rusher. He reminds me of a little bit. Don't think I'm doing a comp here, but he reminds me a little bit of Quinnen Williams. And I say that in the sense that, look, Birmingham guy, similarly rated coming out of high school, had to beat Auburn to get him, showed up at 260 and redshirted. Again, inner city Birmingham. What's he going to do in year two? Q didn't do a whole lot in year two. He was fine. He was okay. And then Q just absolutely exploded in year three, which would be 2026 for Beaman. And maybe we could expect something in that neighborhood. It's crazy to say, hey, he's going to be Q all over again. But his story is similar. The upside is there. And like Q, he's an interior pass rusher. Those are hard to find at this level, but he's got really long arms. He was a great high school outside pass rusher that, again, showed up at 260. Now he's over 300. Very excited about what Jeremiah Beaman will bring to the team this fall. Again, probably more of a second-team guy, but as we know, second-team defensive tackles play a lot. So you're going to see number 92 out there quite a bit this fall, and I'm pretty excited about it.
It's funny. I saw somebody else compare him to Quinnen Williams recently.
Really?
And boy, I'd love to have another Quinnen Williams on the
I'll
team.
take it. I'll take 60% of Q. How's that? Jeremiah just be 60% of Q, and we'll be thrilled. Be a little bit closer to the actual Q. I mean, Quinnen Williams, you could argue his magical season was as good as any season any defender had in the whole Saban era. I mean, his big season, which I think he was people's national defensive player of the year, was a third pick in the draft or some craziness.
I think that's right. I'm
He'd be up there.
I mean, when you think about stars from the Saban era, you think about linebackers and DBs mostly. I mean, I don't know. Jonathan Allen. I guess Quinnen, help me if I'm wrong. And I know this is about Jeremiah Beaman, but now I want to talk Quinnen Williams. Did Quinnen Williams have a signature moment? Jonathan Allen's signature moment was jumping over the Texas A&M dude and sacking the quarterback.
Superman play.
The quarterback was so oh my God, I just watched him jump over another man to tackle me, and I can't evade this.
Is Q's signature moment when he almost trash talked Kyler Murray, but before he could get out of his mouth, he hit the brake?
I swear I was thinking the same thing where he goes, oh, he ain't.
Never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Never mind. Also, it's like all of a sudden he remembered he played for Nick Saban. And he's like,
when he sneezed and blessed himself. And but what made it great was it wasn't meant to be funny. That was literally him just being so nice.
Q being Q right there. So Beaman will be, Beaman, sometimes these comps are play styles. I think Beaman's going to have a similar play style. Guy that can kind of line up at nose guard But what he's really good at is rushing the passer. You know what that sounds like? Quentin Williams.
Well, Beaman was never committed to Auburn, though, right?
I don't think that he was committed to Auburn. I just know that you had to beat Auburn to sign Beaman, and which is typical of a lot of in-state guys. Beaman's a hard worker, by the way. I should throw that in. One of the hardest workers on the team.
Oh, yeah. And I really like him. Again, if he's close to Quentin Williams, you're close to greatness. All right, gonna talk a few other things here. First of all, what's your anxiety level now 80 days away from FSU? Not necessarily, are you so scared of FSU? No. More like, here comes the season. And once the season gets started, things really get ramped up for me, because the whole summer I'm just saying, I'm talking myself into we're beating everybody. Like, we'll go to Georgia and win.
Summer of optimism.
Yeah, it is the
summer of optimism.
Before we go to that, though, I wanted to talk about, y'all know, for whatever reason, I got a weird fascination with people who hate the SEC and think that there's just this unwritten or written, explicit or implied, whatever, bias towards the SEC. SEC Exposed is actually a thing on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that it's not Danny Cannell running that Twitter handle, but whatever. They post things all the time that are just
so
kind
terrible.
Of weird.
I've considered blocking it because I get upset. I don't want to read Twitter and get upset, so I block a lot of stuff.
Listen to this tweet. He said, perfect time. He's referring to game day going to Ohio State, Texas, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, perfect time to show ESPN how fed up you are with all their money-driven SEC bias coverage. Tune into the Fox pregame for the game of the season and cut into ESPN ratings. Both will be in Columbus. This is how you beat ESPN. Besides, Fox is a better broadcast in general. Number one, I don't think Fox is a better broadcast, even though I'm so pro Mark Ingram, I don't know what to do. I've watched
it's not,
and they're not. And number two, if Fox had their druthers, $1 to Gene Stallings, guess which conference they would love to cover?
The SEC.
And so you're saying let's go with Fox because they finished runner-up in the SEC sweepstakes, and they will definitely not be biased. No, if they have a chance, they would love to cover the SEC. And then on top of that, another guy who apparently is anti-SEC and SEC Exposed retweeted him. His name is Micah CBC, whatever that is. But he was talking about how there was another guy. No, his name is not Micah CBC. His name is Crazy Hours 409, whatever that is.
Okay.
But so Micah Butel, he covers the ACC baseball. And he said, I'm so tired of this conference conversation. SEC baseball is still the best conference, but it's not light years better than the ACC and the Big 12, and there needs to be more respect to those conferences. Both things can be true. I find that to be an incredibly reasonable tweet.
That's reasonable.
I also find it to be right.
That's right-ish.
Right? Okay. I don't think the SEC is light years better than those. I do think they're better.
It's just better.
And so, I think
talking about baseball or just
he's talking about baseball, which I think is very fair. Okay,
it's fair.
This Crazy Hours 409 guy who was retweeted by SEC Exposed says, "Hey man, you need to do better. There's no such thing as a best conference. That whole concept is nothing but a media-driven narrative. You are better than this. Good teams do not equal good conferences. After you complained about the number of SEC spots, you say this?" And I was like, I guess that's sort of like if you get caught stealing and you go up before the judge and she's about to sentence you in this situation, the judge is a female, and she says, before I sentence you, do you have anything? He says, yeah. How do I steal anything? Property is just a concept.
It's a construct.
Driven by people. Nobody really owns anything. So I don't really, or to say, like, time is just a concept. We don't really have time. I guess. I mean, I guess, but you can also say that what I hate about this and like the SEC Exposed stuff, when the SEC doesn't get a lot of teams in, they go, see, y'all aren't that good. Okay.
Yeah, they use it as a barometer when it's bad, but they don't use it as a barometer when it's good.
And when we get a bunch in, they're like, "Oh, you got in because everybody loves y'all more." Yeah, right. The whole world loves Ole Miss. I'd love to get Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss on here and have him tell us how much the world loves Ole Miss, or how much the world loves Mississippi State or Vanderbilt or whatever. By the way,
the least popular teams are SEC teams, really. I mean, I think people generally sort of hate Texas, they hate Alabama, they hate Georgia. It's because of all the winning primarily. I mean, we name the Big Ten teams we hate. We would start with Ohio State and Michigan, right? So, I think ask the pro leagues. I mean, I know it's not the only measuring stick, and maybe it's not the best measuring stick. I still think it's a good one. I don't think the NFL is SEC biased when they draft more SEC players than all the other leagues. And by the way, that happens in baseball too. There's just more players drafted out of that league, and the NFL or Major League Baseball could care less where these guys come from. But it's the best league. Ask NFL scouts. I mean, I've heard NFL scouts go on and on. Like I said, I've quoted it on the show before because it just stuck with me. But an NFL scout talking, not identifying who he is or what team he's with, but he was talking about Alabama losing to Oklahoma. And some people like, that's just outrageously bad, losing to that 500 football team. And this is an NFL scout that his whole job is going to different college stadiums every week. He's like, losing at Oklahoma at night in front of that crowd, Oklahoma's got like 12 guys on the field that are going to play NFL football, and then that's a joke loss. He's like, there's not many teams that are going to beat Oklahoma in Norman. So a 500 team in the SEC full of NFL players is a tough team to beat, period. And that's an NFL scout. That's just how I feel about it. And I don't think other leagues can say that football-wise. I mean, do you know last year, Luke, I saw this stat. I'm repeating it from somewhere else, and I didn't look it up myself, but I think this is true. The SEC in night games at home, 44-10.
I believe that.
Yeah, that's crazy. 44-10.
And I mean, what other metrics can we use besides draft picks, besides ratings? Hey, go to a game and see which is more passionate. I've been to West Lafayette. It's not super passionate about Purdue stuff. Some people are. There are some Purdue fans that are equal to the Bammerest of Bammers, but overall, there are a lot more passionate Bammers. I don't think this is in dispute. And
the national championships have to mean something. Go back to 2000 and, Urban Meyer's national titles at Florida forward through Urban Meyer, through Nick Saban, through a couple of LSU titles, Les Miles, Orgeron, Kirby won back-to-back titles. I mean, that's got to be worth something. And then you've added Texas and Oklahoma at a time that Texas is sort of, to use Luke's phrase, kicking chicken. Texas right now is probably as good as they've been at any point since the Mac Brown, the heights of the Mac Brown era. Oh, the SEC is brutal. And baseball, to me, it's even tougher. And I do realize the SEC crashed and burned and should be a little, I don't want to use the word embarrassed because that's not the right term, but the SEC underperformed as a group in the regionals.
They did. Okay,
they did. Really did.
But you also see things like Arkansas playing Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Like, those two teams shouldn't be playing each other in the second round when you've got Murray State playing freaking Duke.
I could have some real egg on my face here, but as far as I'm concerned, the two favorites to win the College World Series are LSU and Arkansas.
They play each other in the first
game,
of Omaha, which is stupid.
Yep.
And again,
I think they're the two best teams.
Disagree with me. I know Chris Childers and Rick Newhouse will disagree with me on this. Like, they love the Murray State story. What a story! Okay, it's a good story, but do we really want that? Is this what we want? I don't. I want to see I don't want to see somebody get hot. I'll go as far to say this. I didn't want to see Ole Miss win it as a 4 seed getting into the tournament. The last team in, I don't know if they were a 4 seed. It might have been a 3. I don't remember. But they got into the tournament and they won it all. And I'm like, I'm tired of rewarding.
I want to see the best teams. Now, they did win their way in. It's not like their name was drawn out of a hat. They won their way in. I give them credit for winning their way in. But I agree with you. I'll also say it sounds hypocritical. I give them credit for winning their way in because they did. So they earned it and deserve it. I'll also get hate mail over it, but I'll also say this. I don't think they're one of the 8 best teams. They deserve their spot, and they won their way in. I don't think they're one of the 8 best teams in college baseball this year. And don't think I'm homering out. I'm not saying Alabama is. They aren't either.
But by the way, SEC only has 2 of 8 teams in the College World Series. That's still 25% of them. Nobody else has that many.
Yeah, no one else has 2. No one else has, 2. Or more than 2.
And Auburn
more
spit
than 2.
The bit. Texas obviously spit the bit. Vandy stunk it up. Georgia stunk it up.
Vanderbilt won the. Vanderbilt winning the SEC tournament. I wonder if you stretch your pitching too thin. I wonder if Vandy would just kind of pitch themselves out and kind of had some tired arms.
I didn't mean to get off on the rant like this, but because we really did want to talk about our anxiety level going into FSU.
The only anxiety thing I bring up, 2 things quickly about anxiety in Florida State. 2 things. Alabama's not performed well on the road in general in 3 or 4 years, and we're crazy to expect an A+ performance on the road just simply because Alabama hasn't been there, Saban or DeBoer. Now, there's been some, but not consistently. And secondly, what brings me major anxiety is the ramifications of a loss. The ramifications of a loss will keep you up at night if you think about how things could really spiral, period, because people will view FSU as a 2-10 football team. They're really not. I mean, who thinks they're going to go 2-10 this year? Nobody. Completely revamped offense, good staff. That causes me anxiety. The ramifications of a loss here and Alabama not playing great on the road, period. I have some anxiety over it. Now, if you ask me logically, Jimmy, who's going to win the game? I think Alabama will win the game. I do. And I think Alabama's going to win the game around the spread number, whatever that ends up being. I think it's, have you seen it lately? Is it something like 11 or 12? I think
it's something like that. I'm going to tell you something. If we lose and I go to the game and it's 1,000 degrees and I'm hot and tired coming back and Auburn won the night before, y'all need to do a wellness check on your boy.
I think we're going to get a highly rated podcast if that happens, because there won't be me controlling you. There will be no, I'll just let you go. And I'm going to try to maintain some level of calm under fire. But no, I'll realize it's bad. It'll be bad. So that's the only reason there's some anxiety for me, is because the ramifications of a loss is bad. Do I think Alabama's going to lose? No. I think Alabama's going to win by some point total around the number. So let's just randomly pick out. I think Alabama wins something like 30-17. But
you didn't have to give a prediction.
No, not yet.
80 days out.
Well, I don't want to make it sound like just because I have some anxiety over it that I'm picking Florida State or I think FSU's going to win. I don't. I think Alabama's going to win, and I think Alabama's going to win around what Vegas says they should win.
All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back soon with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.